Olá, bom dia a
Hello,
todas e a
good
todos.
morning, ladies
Quero
and
dar as
gentlemen.
boas-vindas aos que
I would like
participam
to
do segundo
welcome
webinário
all of
desse
those who are participating in the second webinar of the
Sou
2025
Eliane
cycle of the
Souza,
Beyond Cotton
trabalho
Project.
na área
I'm
de
Eliane
nutrição do Centro
Souza.
de
I
Excelência
work on
against
the
Hunger da
Division of Nutrition
WFP
in the Center of
e
Excellence
serei a
Against
moderadora
Hunger
desse evento.
of
É um
WFP, and I'll be
prazer
the
estar
moderator in
participando
this event. It's a
desse
pleasure
virtual
to
sem um
conduct this virtual meeting
parceiros
that brings together
e
experts,
especialistas
partners, and
internacionais para
government
debatermos o tema:
representatives in order to
mudanças
debate the
institucionais,
topic:
acesso a mercados
institutional
e
procurement and
proteção dos
access to market
alcançadores
by
comerciais.
smallholder farmers
Esse evento
of
faz parte
cotton and
do ciclo de
side crops.
webinários
This
que
event is
realizamos
part of a cycle of
em
webinars of the
iniciativa
Beyond Cotton
da
Project,
parceria
an
entre
initiative that
a
is the
Agência
result of the
Brasileira de
partnership between the
Cooperação,
Brazilian
ABC,
Cooperation
Ministério das
Agency,
Relações Exteriores,
ABC, of the Ministry
Centro
of
de
Foreign
Excelência
Affairs, and the
contra a
Center of
Fome do Programa
Excellence
Mundial de
Against
Alimentos,
Hunger of
WFP no
the World
Brasil,
Food Program,
Instituto
WFP in
Brasileiro do
Brazil,
Algodão,
and
IBA,
Brazilian
da
Cotton
Diretriz
Institute,
Assessora de
IBA,
Agricultura
IBA. We're
institucional
going
desse
to
webinário.
open the
Para tanto,
institutional
é com
session of
uma
this webinar. And for that purpose, I'd like to
coordenação
invite
geral de
Rifat
cooperação
Esquibal,
trilateral com
representing
organizações
the Trilateral
da
South-South
Agência
Cooperation with
Brasileira de
international
Cooperação,
organizations
RIFAT.
at the Brazilian Cooperation Agency. Rifat, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Rifat Esquibal. As she said, I would like to thank for the presence of everyone who's participating in this webinar. Now I'm speaking in behalf of the responsible for the area of trilateral cooperation with international organizations of the Brazilian Cooperation Agents, Ms. Cecilia Malaguti, who won't be able to be with us in July, August, and September. These webinars intend to provide visibility of the results of the Beyond Cotton project. This project is an initiative that started in 2017 between ABC, the Center of Excellence Against Hunger of the WFP and the Brazilian Cotton Institute. It's important to highlight that cotton is at the core of this project, but at the same time, it opened ways for the development of other important perspectives, such as the marketing of co-products of cotton and the production of side crops alongside cotton. The practices consist in concrete developments of the capacity building of smallholder farmers who grow cotton. It also results in increase of income and food security of these smallholder farmers and their families. And also it connects them to stable markets. We also believe that Beyond Cotton Project is an innovative and successful project in this partnership of South-South cooperation. The regional, in addition to regional project, we have the project in three countries: the Tanzania in the partnership with the Federal University of Campina Grande, Mozambique in partnership with the Federal University of Lavras, and Benin with the technical support of the Federal University of Western Bahia. The last two are projects that are about to end. In the second webinar, which is focused on institutional procurement and access to market, the Mozambican counterpart of the Cotton and Oilseed Institute of Mozambique will share their experience related to institutional procurement. In addition to that, we're going to have a presentation of one of the policies for public procurement, which is the field procurement program, which is run by CONAB, which is the institution responsible for food stock supplies in Brazil. I thank you for sharing your experience with us. I'd like to thank the Brazilian Cotton Institution for financially making the projects viable and for their valuable partnership with the Center of Excellence Against Hunger, in addition to the universities that I mentioned here for sharing their knowledge with the partner countries. And also, I'd like to acknowledge ABC sees the partners from the offices from WFP in the other countries as long-lasting partners, and they're very important for the success of South-South cooperation. And lastly, I'd like to wish you all great and fruitful discussions in this morning. I'd like to that it brings inputs to everyone, especially in terms of cotton production, increased income, and food security in Africa. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Rifati. Well, today, from the Center of Excellence Against Hunger, today we were supposed to have the presence of Daniel Balaban, but unfortunately he won't be able to be with us in this opening session, but I'll speak on behalf of the Center of Excellence, which I'm representing here, and I bring his greetings to everyone, and also Albanese Peixinho, which coordinates the work of WFP on these projects, and also to the other colleagues who work at the Center of Excellence at ABC and the Cotton Institute, and also the colleagues from the partner universities and also from our country offices. So we are very glad to be streaming this event. This project is a project that for the Center of Excellence, it brings some distinctions in terms of the programs against to combat food security, and it brought us the opportunity of developing new capacities and collaborate not only with the partner countries but also with the Brazilian government in the development of these partnerships, which are at the core of South-South Cooperation, and it allows the countries to grow and develop and also build new capacities, new knowledges and new capacities. So on behalf of the Center of Excellence, I'd like to wish, as I did in the beginning, wish everyone to have a great time sharing knowledge and experience, and to all of our partners who will speak here. So very quickly, that's it. I'd like to say thank you and wish everyone a great event. But taking the opportunity that I have the floor, I would like to call for this opening session Mr. Adilson Ferreira dos Santos. He is the Technical Director of the Brazilian Cotton Institute, the IBA, and you have the floor, Mr. Adilson. Thank you. You are most welcome to the second webinar, and I would like to say that it's a challenging topic. First, because of the issue of the smallholder farmers to have access to the market. It's a great challenge, and feel free to talk. I feel very comfortable talking about this program because I worked 20 years in a company that dedicates to this, the SEBRAE system. It's a very relevant topic, the smallholder farmers today. We have a few initiatives within the institute, in the Brazilian Cotton Grower Institute, ABRAPA, who works in the southeast of Bahia, in the north of Minas, 3 states of Brazil, working with a significant number of smallholder farmers. And one formula that we found in order to achieve success in our activities is especially the associativism. I think that we're going to bring this topic to the table, but I believe that associativism is a topic of great relevance, and it's going to bring a new horizon, not just only to Brazil, but also to the countries who are participating in these projects in partnership with ABC. So I wish everyone a great event, and thank you all for the partnership with ABC, with the World Food Program, and whenever you need us, we are at your disposal. Thank you very much, Mr. Adilson. Thank you, Rifati. And now we're going to move to the presentations. And in this first block, which we're going to talk about public procurement in Brazil, I'd like to invite Mr. Enio Souza, who is the manager of programming and monitoring of family farming programs from the CONAB, the National Company for Foodstock Supply. And he coordinates the programs for acquisition of food through the food procurement program of the Brazilian government. And Enio is an agronomist. He has a master in rural agronomy and has been working for more than 20 years at the CONAB and has consolidated experience in the management of public policies for food stock supply and for the strengthening of the smallholder farming, and also in public procurement and inclusion of in the production system. And currently, Enio is the management of the programming and monitoring of programs with the smallholder and family farmer. Thank you very much for participating in this webinar. You have the floor. Good morning. Thank you, Eliane. Thank you for the word. It's a pleasure to be here sharing a little bit about the contribution that CONAB has been making, especially in relation to the food procurement program, which is a topic that I'm going to address with you today. So about CONAB, very quickly, it's a company, it's a public company, and now we are linked to the Minister of Agrarian Development, but we work together with the Minister of Agriculture, Ministry of Social Development, and other ministries in all spheres of federal government. We have formulated public policies and run them, and especially in respect to food stock supply. So our presence, we have a presence all across the national territory. We have regional unities in all capitals in the country, and we have some storage facilities and strategic hubs where we work with, where we implement some public policies. And what you're seeing here are the main activities that we conduct in very summarized manner. It's a company that has many instruments and many possibilities. These are some of the tools that we have. We elicit primary information, we acquire food baskets, and we donate food, and we sell a subsidized maize to smallholder farmers. We have a public of minimum guaranteed prices, and we have a food procurement program, which in Portuguese is PAA. And we have, which is an umbrella for several different purposes. We buy food simultaneously. We have the purchase in order to build stock, which are strategic, or in order to help regulate price. So we have solidarity kitchens. So we have different tools that can be used in different situations. So the policy for a food procurement program, the PAA, it's mirrored, it's based on 4 plans. The National Food Security, Food and Nutrition Security Plan. One of the axes of this program is the Food Procurement Program, the National Plan of Agroecology and Organic Production, especially because the Food Procurement Program, it targets a certain audience moving towards agroecological production. A National Food Stock Supply Plan, Plan AB, which is a plan that coordinates food stock supply, which is a plan also coordinated between CONAB and the Ministry of Agrarian Development, and the Climate Plan. And since we're working with agroecology, and especially since we're working exclusively on this topic with smallholder farmers, given a preference to traditional populations and original populations, we also, so the program, at the same time that it contributes to these 4 plans, it's also part of these 4 plans in all of the axes of sustainable productions. You have the presence of this public policy, and it gives priority to sustainable production. So it's a key program for the existence and the consistence of these plans. Well, just a bit about the figures of this program so that you can have an idea of its reach and its practical effects. We have some indicators. This is a chart of the budget of the program, remembering that the real is 1 to 6. So in the last few years, in 2023, with the rebuilding of the policies and the mechanisms that was dismantled in 2021, but it was resumed in 2023 with new regulations and also a new budget, as it is represented by this chart. Here, we're placed in terms of access. We have 611 million invested in just one of the modalities, which is the most important in the program, which is the one that demands the most budget. which involves donation, but we also made investments in the other modalities. Here, we're talking about access. We will go from 2,000, 7,000 access to 50,000 access. It's the number of family units that are producing for the food procurement programs. And we are focusing on food procurement for this, that is food that is destined to the population that is under situations of food and nutrition insecurity. So this CONAB does not reach the families directly. We achieve them through Solidarity Kitchen, through the social assistance programs in the municipalities. So we provide the food stock to these public facilities that will directly assist these vulnerable populations. And you can see that these family units, the smallholder farmers, are contributing directly to these food procurement programs targeted at the vulnerable populations. So we had a record demand and also a record execution of the program. You can see on the map all of the municipalities that we're able to cover, especially. It's more than 1,300 municipalities that have been covered by about 2,200, 300 organizations and associations that have been hired to supply food in about 1,500 units of public facilities receiving this food. And we think that we'll go beyond that. And we're going to work, we expect to have better figures for the current year. Here, just for you to have an idea of our presence in all of the states in the country, with a strong presence, especially in the north and northeast, where smallholder farming is very strong. And it's important to highlight that it's a policy with the participation of 70% of women in the last couple of years. 67% of the beneficiaries are part of the unified, which is the registry that guides us so that we can provide assistance to the most vulnerable families in the country. 22% of the participation of the program is of traditional and original populations and people who live in settlements. So this is the sign of a program that really is able to reach those who need the most, and it allows for this transaction with the federal government, because as we know that it's not possible within the regular framework for public procurement, because it's too strict for families that are in a situation where they're still learning how to deal with the bureaucracy of the state. And here are some examples of important programs that we have spread across all of the country with indigenous populations in the north of Brazil, in the Midwest of Brazil, projects in the state of Minas Gerais, here in the Federal District in Brasilia, and we have good examples of execution of projects all across the country. And we have also a characteristic that is very strong of producing horticultural and natural products, fresh products. Is very important because the food procurement program is an important supplementation for these public facilities that sometimes receive a lot of grains, perishable food, but the program is able to add more diversity. So
there is also seeds, meat, eggs, flour for these two pastures. We purchased 422 different types of foodstuff, which is something important to mention because it is a program that emphasizes the short circuits when it comes to marketing food stuff. And it's very important for us because of the size of our country, it is very large. It's important to have a program that privileges in its design this type of action. And as I said before, the program does not reach, CONAB does not reach the families themselves, but CONAB does, the company which reach the distributing units, which will then work together with the family. So we work together with the social assistance network of municipalities, the public education network of municipal government, the solitary kitchens. We reach these units at the local level and provide the foodstuff to these units so that it is prepared there and made available to the families undergoing situations of vulnerability. So this is what I have prepared to share with you. Thank you so much for your time, and I'm at your disposal in case you have any questions. Thank you so much, Enio. Thank you so much for your participation. It shows very clearly the importance of the food purchase program in Brazil and how Brazil has been dealing with public purchases and procurement processes in Brazil. Now, I'd like to emphasize that if anyone who's watching us in either of our channels, English channel or French channel, if you have any question to address to any, if you want to know more about this policy and also the food purchase program, please send us your questions because we're going to forward them to the speakers so that they get answered. Now we're going to start the second session or second block, and we're going to have a perspective from a different country, which is our partner country of Mozambique, and we are going to have some governmental perspectives shared with us. I'm going to invite Ms. Ansha Al-Enadini, who is a director of Central Services and Marketing Promotion and Value Addition with the Cotton and Oilseeds Institute of Mozambique. She'll share with us the perspectives of the country concerning government policies for the sector, and she works with the National Cotton Selection Program, Classification Program, and she worked with the Quality Program. She was also head of the Cotton Fiber Classification Unit, and today she is a director for Central Services, Marketing Promotion, and Value Addition with the Cotton and Oilseed Institute in Mozambique. You have the floor now, Ms. Enadine. Please share with us the perspective of your country. Thank you so much. Well, first of all, I would like to convey the greetings from our director of the Cotton Oilseeds Institute of Mozambique, who could not join us today. And I'm going to be sharing with you some of the government perspectives concerning challenges for marketing at the institutional level in Mozambique. It's the Beyond Cotton Project, and the Beyond Cotton Project is a result of partnership between the Center of Excellence Against Hunger of WFP in Brazil and Mozambique, Brazilian Cooperation Agency, and the Brazilian Cotton Institute. And the project was implemented in two provinces, the Manica province and the Tete province. And in the case of Tete, it covered the districts of Mambue, Caurabassa, Matiza, Manica, and the district of Guru, Ebarwe, and Manica. For the implementation of this project in Mozambique, the IMOM, counting on the partnership of WFP Mozambique, the Polytechnical Higher Institute of Manica, and also the district services, economic activities in all the districts where the project was run. It's important to tell you that the project covered a total of 3,000 cotton farmers directly, so as to ensure the continuity of cotton production without promotion, as was promotion of production and marketing of cotton byproducts, identifying associated food crops, and also promotion of access to food items with high nutritional value among the rural communities. Among many activities that have been implemented under the project, it's important to highlight capacity building sessions at the various different levels, including farmers, extension officers, technical people from the Cotton Institute, and also the support in terms of production and marketing of cotton associated crops. So some means were provided, no, logistics means for marketing cotton were provided mainly, and also the promotion of associativism. So 5 associations were started, and at least 3 of them have been legally officially established. It's an ongoing activity in the process of implementing the same initiative of establishment of associations in other provinces where the project has not been implemented. And I'd like to say that this presentation serves the purpose of sharing the information concerning the project and also promotion of cotton production and associated crops. That means just say it's important also to highlight the marketing at the institutional level in Mozambique. The first issue that was very thoroughly covered, which is promotion of agricultural production, especially among smallholder farmers, to ensure the increase of agricultural production at the national level, and also to ensure that farmers have a market to take their products to, promotion of the food security and income generation, strengthening of local value chains, integration of public policies, capacity building, and organization of farmers. We also have some policies and programs of our government. These initiatives fall under those policies and programs perfectly, such as the strategic plan for the development of the agrarian sector, the food and nutrition security policy initiatives, such as the school feeding programs, and this initiative that is implemented by, promoted by the WFP. And then we are in the process of formulating an operational plan or strategic plan to digitize the cotton production chain, oil seeds, and food crops chain. And these activities are also linked to this plan that is in the process of being designed by the government as of now, which will be launched next month, September, in the province of Niassa. For those who know Mozambique, Niassa is one of the largest cotton producers at the country level. And the IAOM was established by decree number 49 of 2020 of July 1st, 2020, among other mechanisms to increase marketing and establishment of standards for classification, certification of cotton and oil seeds, provision of assistance, and also promote organization of farmers and formulation of policies and a regulation. We have some policies that were formulated in the process of we have been going through, we have a regulation that has been put together in terms of oilseed crops. We have a mechanism for establishing reference prices, a mechanism for stabilization of prices, especially concerning cotton. Almost 99% of our cotton is exported, and that's a huge challenge for us, how we can control the price at the national level. That's not possible to do. So we have come up with a mechanism to counter these variations in terms of the price of fiber internationally. Some actions that were implemented regarding marketing in terms of regulation and so define marketing rules and norms for those crops that fall under our mandate, and also inspection of the uh, value chain agents from production to marketing, definition of minimum reference prices, as I mentioned before. We have is set for this year minimum prices, not only as usual, but also minimum prices as a reference for soybean, for seed. We also created a stabilization fund to counter the fluctuation of prices in the international market, and also a compensation mechanism which is anchored in the stabilization mechanism for seed cotton. We also provided support to many organizations. And we are also building capacity and farmers. We, in terms of we have definition, quality criteria, classification systems, so easy of access to markets, the oil seeds, market information, the process of disseminating on a constant basis the concerning prices and amounts, volumes, and trends, so farmers can be abreast of what's happening internationally, because we are very dependent on the international market, and farmers need to know what's happening out there worldwide. Specific regulations, we have uh, prepare regulations for specific oil seeds. We also in the process of having establishment of public-private partnership with some different organizations, NGOs, so that we can format or develop mechanisms that are suitable for marketing agricultural products. Main challenges that we are faced with, there are plenty of them. Here we have highlighted some. For example, problems for distributing production because of the poor conditions of roadways, and this will increase transportation prices in terms of freight. Lack of market information for those farmers that are located in the most remote regions. We know that in our country, agriculture is family based, and how can we get this information to get those farmers that live and work in remote places? It's a challenge for us, and also the low bargaining power of smallholder farmers, a lack of stable institutional commercialization channels. The other challenge refers to financing, the lack of a credit line for marketing, lack of operational funds for expansion activities. In terms of the need for strengthening human resources and technical resources at the Institute, we still have some gaps to bridge. The project actually helped us to overcome some of those issues, but we do need some specific training in marketing itself. Market, the penetration into markets, and also insufficient interinstitutional coordination in terms of price and public policies. Prices that are not meritocratic are wrong, and in comes to international market, cotton is high level and volatile fluctuation of prices at the international market, and this is a very huge challenge for us to overcome. So our experience as a country tells us that the higher the price of seed cotton, the lower the adherence of farmers to growing cotton, and the higher the appearance of cotton farmers in the coming season, and the lower the price, farmers are in need of subsidies from the government so that farmers do not get this they do not get stimulated to continue growing cotton in the coming season. So perspectives of our government, our perspective is to look into the digitization of production and marketing of cotton, and also associated crops and food crops. This is a very huge perspective of ours, and this platform, well, I want to say that all financial operations are managed on a digitalized or digital platform. The purpose is to make the commercialization process more more easy to be done, all the process along the production chain. So our perspective regarding the experience we had in the Beyond Cotton product is to create financing lines. We believe that cotton farmers can continue on their own, and for that to happen, we need to have credit lines available for them to produce and to market. Perspectives are also based on the platform, which is about creating credit lines for equipment to prepare this land, also credit for the production inputs, credit lines for storage, processing of products and byproducts. Well, there is also another very important component, which is also very important lesson learned in the Beyond Cotton project, which is the association of other crops with cotton, or inclusion of other crops in the cotton production process. And this will cover other crops, but the main crop needs to be cotton. And our perspective to have access to this credit line is that farmers need to have at least 1.5 hectare of land, and a portion of this land will be dedicated to growing cotton and another to grow, for example, maize, beans, sesame seeds, or flour.
Reformulation of minimum guaranteed price for integrated crops. Now we have cotton, soybean, sesame, but this program also include other food crops. And how are we going to address the food crops, since the whole program will be linked to fostering companies? But in their case, no, they're going to buy this production, but there's also the need for these crops to have a minimum guaranteed price. Some minimum preference price recommendation. First, multi-sectorial integration. There must be a coordination among ministries. No ministry can work alone without a coordination with other ministries, especially those ministers that are connected. And I'm speaking specifically of industry and trade, education, agriculture, and others. support to the organization of farmers so that we can have a competitive markets and so that we can take advantage of market niches. So the farmers need to be organized into associations and cooperatives, which reduces the logistic costs and also creates a higher production volume. So because we know that the market wants volume and quantity and quality, and investment in rural infrastructure is very important to have rural infrastructures that are well structured and well organized. And it's also necessary to digitalize commercialization processes so that we were able to map and track our production and also track and monitor the local producers, and track all of those involved along the value chain of cotton production. So it's also recommended to have a higher investment in technical capacity building. And as a conclusion, we would like to say that institutional commercialization can be a key leverage for development, for the sustainable agricultural development. And of course, there are many challenges, and we need to try to overcome them or find ways and strategies for us to tackle these challenges that hinder the normal development of commercialization operations. And it's necessary to have a joint effort between the governments, development partners, and the private sector in order to create a commercial environment that is more inclusive and functional. And having said that, thank you very much for the attention that you have given me. Thank you. Thank you very much, Ansha. As I listen to you, you have brought us the challenges of growing cotton, but also you brought some perspectives and very clear recommendations, very clear about how to support smallholder farmers and those who grow intercrop with other crops. And when we talk about the Brazilian experience with the food procurement program, and we have a national school feeding program as well, which drinks from this source of public procurement. So it's important to emphasize the importance of the smallholder farmer who grows cotton, but also food, not only for their consumption, but also with the possibility of selling the surplus. So these are some of the challenges within the Beyond Cotton patterns that we also face. And also Angela mentioned, touched this topic when she spoke about the experience. Ansha said about the smallholder farmers who participate in Beyond Cotton project. For us to have a broad overview of how it happened, I would like to invite now to share the experience of the Beyond Cotton project. I'd like to invite, in Mozambique, I'd like to invite Mariste, the person who is responsible for public procurement, cotton growing. I'd like to invite Marisete, who is the local coordinator of the Beyond Cotton project in Mozambique. Marisete is a nutritionist and specializes in food and nutrition security with more than 15 years of programs for rural development. And he works as the local coordinator of the Beyond Cotton project, leading the efforts for the strengthening of the value chains and integration of the family farming with the institutional markets. So, Mari, you have the floor, please. So we can't hear it. We can see the presentation share on the screen, but we cannot see you, hear you. So we can see you now. but if you can share your presentation. Can you hear me now? Yes, now we hear you. Thank you. So I'll get back to the presentation. So can you see the presentation now? Yes, just place it in presentation mode. Right, okay, you can proceed. Thank you, everyone. I'm Marisete Araújo. I speak from Mozambique. I'm here in a district called Macossa. And as Eliane said, I'm now the coordinator of the Beyond Cotton project, and I will share a little bit about the experience within the project here in Mozambique. And as I said, I will not repeat that the project is a partnership between several institutions from Brazil and Mozambique and NGOs. The specific geographical areas of the project, as mentioned by Ansha, and her presentation was very thorough about the project itself in broad lines and the achievements as well as the challenges. But here I'd like to talk about our experiences and how the project was structured. So the project was structured into 4 areas. First, we had to define the crops and and how to intercrop it with cotton, and also we did a rotation. The project was supposed to be 3 years long, but it was postponed to 5 because we had COVID in between, which impacted everyone. So of course it impacted the project. So we had a very long period of work with the university, with ABC, and even with the Center of Excellence and the Mozambican Institute for Oilseeds and Cotton in order to define what would be the arrangements in terms of the crops that we would work, and before we started the field work. And so we defined the crops that would be more favorable to be developed and also improve the cotton production based on the Brazilian experience. So beans, for instance, maize, we have okra, which was one of the crop, the arrangement. So this, and they were intercropped with cotton, and the Mozambican farmers were very happy because they noticed that in addition to improve their cotton quality in terms of yield and production, they were able to have food on the table, and with the surplus, they were able to sell this production surplus. So it was a very interesting experience. So we have established the plots, and we were able to have economical viability for the farmers, and throughout the process, we provided technical assistance. And I'd like to highlight that we had a technical partner almost 24/7, working side by side with farmers, the Superior Polytechnical Institute of the province of Manica, which was an institution that had 2 experts, 2 doctors in agronomy, and 5 students who basically lived among the farmers and provided the assistance on a daily basis to the farmers. And this was very fruitful because the farmers feel safe, because although UFLA came here once in a while to provide training, so both to UFLA, to the Federal University of Lavras, and the farmers, maybe they could miss or need some information. So the field technicians did not allow this to happen. So the farmers were in a constant learning process. It was very important for the farmers to have ownership and also to ensure that the farmers really learned as they were taught. And also we created mechanism for improving cotton co-products, but this issue was not explored, was fully explored for several reasons, among which was there was financial reasons because of the limited financial resources of the project. So at a certain point, we need to prioritize what would be more important for the farmers to benefit from this technical assistance and so that they would have no deficit. But what are thoughts about that? In terms of market access, we developed some logistics for public procurement. So we established some connections between the farmers and the market. And one of the mechanisms was a platform. We have a platform that provided access, especially for the selling of food, which is a platform that is basically for food crops where the farmers can trade their products directly with the buyers. So the farmers received training, they received the phones, because with the phones they can register the production, the quality, the quantities, and they did a negotiation with the buyers, and which facilitated for the commercialization of the food products by the farmers. So with that, we could see that it's possible to do this connection between farmers and markets. And especially about cotton, we are currently studying the possibility of including in this platform cash crops or non-food crops, because the platform was intended for food crops. And we also provided some technology about technologies and techniques for the processing and storage of low-cost food, with a focus on minimizing the loss of post-harvest loss. And here, although we have a good production, we have a lot of losses because the farmers are not able to properly store their products for a long time. And there's also a technology of airtight zip bags for the storage of grains, so that the farmers were training how to store their seeds in these airtight bags, and they noticed that these bags, they really work. So we distributed these bags and even to this day, there are farmers who still have these bags, these airtight bags, and they use it in their production, even to this day. And another area, which is food and nutrition education, we production of nutritious food crops, and we also created some materials with positive messaging about the changing of behavior in terms of eating habits. And we were able to improve a lot from the situation that we initially found. And we worked on the provision of a more diversified diet and have a more nutritious diet. Because here the diet is basically maize, beans, and some green leaves, such as kale and pumpkin leaves, or so other the food stuff is not consumed. So we discussed about, we brought this discussion so that they diversified their diet and included especially horticultural products or horticultural crops. So, and there was also in blue exchange of experience among countries. So this exchange basically took place such as in events such as this and webinars, and also with the participation of the Brazilian Cotton, with the Cotton Institute and the Brazilian Cotton Congresses. So we had one in Goiânia and another in Salvador. So it was also possible to bring something bring some farmers and also some technicians from the IAON, the Mozambican Oilseed and Cotton Institute, and also the technicians who have been with the project. So in terms of achievements in the project, we have all of these programs, these capacity building programs and agricultural best practices, and we divide into 6 modules, and For instance, UFLA came to Mozambique, provided courses on soil fertility and plant nutrition, and also integrated pest management. So this control was made through organic agricultural products that can be found locally by the farmers, and although they still use a little bit of agrochemicals because it's easier and it's more quick, and also because they have this culture. But when this product is missing, they know how to use natural products, and we are reinforcing the idea that they should continue using these products. So we provide training to 22 technicians, out of which are 8 of which are women, and 147 farmers, and 52 of which were women. So gender participation is also very important for us. So it's very important to include women in these trainings. And we also have trainings in rural extension, production of seeds, the linting, ginning of cotton for 17 technicians, 5 of which were women, and 227 farmers, and 160 women. And we also provided training on associativism and the formation of associations of cooperative societies, following the local regulations, the regulations of Mozambique, and considering that Mozambique has some regulations, and they were also based themselves on what Brazil does, because many of the companies and institutions received training in Brazil because of the experience that we have and stated their understanding. And we also had a strategy for production and arid climates, which was influenced by the El Nino. We had a very strong El Nino in the last couple of years. And in 2 years ago, the farmers lost basically all of their production. And in one area, there was so much loss, farmer loss, both in terms of cotton and their food crops. And it also brought some difficulties to the implementation of some project actions, but also after we implemented some of the strategies for arid areas, we're able to brought good results, and the farmers are happy to prevent so much losses. And there was also seed production, so the farmers would not depend on the provision of the supply of seeds for projects or through the government. So we also provided training of post-harvest technologies. So the airtight bags, we distributed 1,050 airtight bags to farmers, and we provided training in climate services, in integrated and participatory programs for agriculture, which is called PIXAS, participatory climate service for agriculture. So we provided training in other for the farmers. So for instance, the PIXA, this program, the farmers learn how to identify which is the best time to plant. They received a water gauge in order to know the volume of water, to know when it was time to plant, If it was not a good time to plant, they could create rear animals that were resilient to droughts. They could produce forage and store forage to provide to their cattle. So we created mechanisms to minimize the consequences of any extreme climate event that the farmers would face. So these achievements were very beneficial for these farmers so the farmers would no longer be so dependent, because if these extreme events that are occurring more and more took place.
So now I'll show you some pictures of the training sessions we had. We have some pictures of the farmers in the field. All the training sessions, except for the ones for technical staff, the ones for farmers were delivered on site in the field so that the results could be demonstrated, especially in the field of a given farmer. And it was very important for us because we could actually see the type of soil, weather conditions, because the project was implemented in different regions under different conditions in terms of soil and weather. And it was actually a learning tool for us so that we could actually come up with interventions that needed to be made in different regions. We had 5 associations of farmers assisted by the project, 246 farmers altogether, and 108 women participating. We distributed inputs and agricultural equipment, improved seeds. I had 5 demonstration plots and 10 units for technology transfer and 250 repeats in the district. 341 hectares of planted area. In average, we had 1.5 hectare per farmer. In the first season, we had 60.5 tons of cotton and food crops grown and harvested. This first season was when the project had the best results, and then we had El Nino uh, and other weather events. The production dropped a bit, but not too much. But I believe that this year, last year, we were able to have purchase of cotton that was grown by these farmers. Even though there were some losses, but we had a lot of lessons learned within the scope of the project because farmers actually had something to market. In terms of access to market, we had education of buyer in the first season and a total of 59,000 US dollars from the marketing of surplus. Oh, sorry, that is just for cotton. And we also had a surplus that was marketed, and the total in terms of dollars is not actually shown here, but there was also marketing of food stuff. So we also have the formal. Actually, all associations are properly legally formally established, and they have been legally published in the official documents. It's when an association has reached the last step of formalization process. We have full formalization in the district. In Garol, we had 93,000. These figures are in meticals because they are very high figures because of the local currency here. It talking about the income from the surplus of food stuff. Sorry if I got a bit confused here. We also have adequate eating habits and practices. In this regard, we actually delivered a culinary workshop. Unfortunately, we're able only to have those delivered only to the district, Carabasa and Mampoy, and the other districts was not possible because some financial adjustments to the project. And then in those workshops, we taught farmers about how they can prepare more nutritious meals using their own foodstuff they grow. And also there is a culinary exchange experience. I've taught them how to prepare canjica, which is a typical regional dish in some parts of Brazil, and they were really happy to see that maize could be consumed in different ways. Not only the Shima, they have their we have here stories of success in the project. Here have some of the farmers we worked with on the in very simple households, and they were able to actually have income to make or build houses with bricks, as you can see in the pictures, just because they had income from what they could market on their product, and they're able to live in this house with their families and children, and they're also planning on expanding the house to have more rooms with the money they get from cotton that is marketed and also food stuff. Here I have some challenges. One of them is to continue activities related to nutrition and also production of high nutritional value crops such as fruit crops and also vegetables. That's because of limited access to water. Even if you have a borehole drilled, the water is saline. You cannot use that water to irrigate crops. That's a bit of a difficulty to overcome. In terms of a cotton market, it's still a challenge. It's not an easy market to penetrate, and especially at the local level, we need to actually go for the international market. And also distribution channels make it really difficult, and also have the impact of El Nino and other climate changes. And from our experience, observation, the meteorology service now keeps track of all these issues, and you get regular information about the fact that these continues will tend to continue. This is a challenge that is there. So we need to actually find a way for farmers not to lose all their crops and find a way to overcome these challenges posed on no periodical or seasonal basis. So the sustainability and exit strategy of the project. We need to get all the institutions involved from the national level to the local level. We need to actually have education institutions involved. We have ISPM in one given district, but it's also important to have other education institutions involved because it's a possibility to get this knowledge up to date and disseminated. We need to have regular and practical training for technical officers so that they can teach those practices to the farmers, especially those from SDAE who provide assistance to farmers. The demonstration plots, so we need to keep them there. So they are learning tools for farmers to acquire techniques not to lose their crops, and they need to be placed in spots in a location where farmers can see what is done and then replicate that on their fields. And also the process is of the project's on the process of a progressive transfer of responsibilities to local institutions. And we also need to look for synergies so that these interventions can continue to happen. And when it comes to production, as the AE are required to provide support to the associations in terms of market. IAOM is always searching for marketing opportunities, and the World Food Program will always provide as the best of the possibilities support to digitization, and also search for other partners such as Mizal, and at district level has as CISMAS, which is the district service of health and social assistance. So thank you very much. for your time and attention. Thank you so much, Marisette, for sharing with us such a very clear perspective of what has been done in terms of the Beyond Content project in Mozambique. And here you were able to bring together all the different topics concerning nutrition, marketing, and rural development. Thank you so much. We are always so eager to get this Beyond Cotton t-shirt. We really proud ourselves on the visibility we give to the impact and this difference that is made in the lives of people. This is what keeps us moving on. So we have reached the end of this webinar. We'd like to thank once again Anil and Marisette for their presentations. They so kind of delivered us for this webinar. We're not going to have a Q&A session, but any questions you may have concerning the topics dealt with in this web, email to our email, anna.freitas@wfp.org. It's on the screen. So please send your questions to her and she will forward them to the speakers. I'd like to thank once again Adilson and Reflot, each interpreter who joined us in this webinar. Thank you so much to each and every one of them. Thank you so much for all the people watching us over YouTube, and also for those people that will have access to our webinar online. The first webinar is also available on the platform on a YouTube channel of ours, the Center of Excellence. For those that are interested, they know what we had for the first webinar. Please go online. This is the second webinar in the 2025 webinar cycle. We are going to have the next webinar on September 24th, also a Wednesday, and the topic of this next webinar is accessible agriculture to nutrition. We see you at the next webinar. Thank you so much.